Okay, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 5. Specifically, let's focus on the endings because I feel like Rockstar kind of dropped the ball on the opportunity they had in regards to showing us a good better ending for Grand Theft Auto 5. Spoilers alert, of course, but let's get on with it. So, first of all, let's make something very clear. Everyone everyone can just admit and know that there is one canon ending to Grand Theft Auto 5, and that's ending C. We can all agree on that. That's not something. Doesn't matter if you have player choice. Doesn't matter if you could just finish with ending A or B and then just leave the data as is. Ending C is clearly the canon ending. A lot more time was put into it, and it was an actual mission. Like it had a structure. It had things to do. It was different than the ending missions for A and B. Now, now that we've agreed on that, okay, we're on the same page. Let's let's focus on the characters because as you know, there are three main characters in this game, and it's actually with the help of the fact that there are three main characters that I feel the ending could have benefited from going with one that's not exactly ending C. So let's start with Michael. For all intents and purposes, he's the main character. Uh, I don't believe that he would be the surrogate character per se. I'll get into that now. It's I believe it's Franklin who's supposed to be the surrogate character. Uh, of course, the reasons behind that. I mean, you start the game with him. Sure, the introductory, the prologue. The prologue is with Michael, but I don't really see that he is supposed to be the surrogate character. Franklin is the character with the least personality, I'd say. He's the blankest of slates in regards to those three characters. So I feel like he would be the surrogate for us, a player, to go into this world and and live it through him. Okay? So starting with Michael, going back to what I was saying, if you could tell me a good trait and a bad trait in order to round out his character, and what I'm trying to say is, if you could provide me with one characteristic that makes him good or one characteristic that makes him flawed, just to give me or anyone a general sense of okay who the character is. With Michael, you could definitely say he is the most, he's the smartest, I guess. And in regards to his flaw, well, I mean, he's. I don't just want to say he's kind of a dingus, but he's a traitor, I guess. He. What I'm trying to say is he only looks out for himself, right? We could definitely infer, based on everything we've played, that that's the case, right? I'm not being crazy. In regards to Trevor, well, good trait they would be he is loyal. I'd say that's his best trait. And the worst trait, well, I mean, of course, he's crazy. He's just balls to the wall crazy. I feel like just a little sidebar. I feel like they made him too crazy for him to be likable. Like there are some points where you want to relate to him. You want to be like, hey, yeah, no, this he's a lot more than just insane. But then the game reminds you, he's just mostly insane, and you can't do anything about that. It's kind of a bummer. But moving along, lastly we have Franklin, and with Franklin, well, I'd say best trait, he's resourceful. He's the most. I can't. Okay, it's hard to say resourceful, right? Because I mean, Michael is pretty resourceful, but he is really good at what he does. You could say he's like a prodigy type of thing, because whatever he does try to do, he does accomplish. He's ambitious. Ambitious. Let's go with that. That would be the best word to pick out in order to describe Franklin. But his con, what's the trait in order to diminish him, to what's his flaw? And this is a question that actually started and gave me the idea to talk about the game, because seeing as he's the surrogate character, even though he has his own traits, What was his flaw? And seeing as through ending C, a lot of the underlying questions of, okay, not underlying questions, but a lot of the character development doesn't happen with ending C. A lot of it happens with the prior endings A and B. That's what got me started in, okay, what's the best ending? What's the best ending? And by seeing one of the endings and having the question answered of what's his character flaw, I kind of noticed that Rockstar had a really big opportunity to go and make the ending a lot better. And it's kind of sucks that they had all the pieces. They had all the pieces they needed, and they dropped the ball. In my opinion, right? I mean, it's still a good game, and the ending's fine. Ending C is not bad. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that there was a higher chance for the ending to be better in my eyes, and since the game had all the pieces for it, it was kind of a bummer that the pieces weren't utilized properly in my eyes. So, if ending C is the canon ending, with the remainings A and B, which one would be the best ending? And in my opinion, it would be ending B. Right? I mean, allow me to explain, and that's kind of what the video is going to be about. So, ending B. We have to start from the beginning. Let's think of these three people as characters. I mean, they're characters. That was a stupid sentence, but let's see them for who they are and go through the endings. And I'm going to start with ending C because unfortunately, it's the one with the least amount of meat to me. Right? We all have closure. Everything gets wrapped in a neat little bow, but there's not much going on in regards to character development or closure to the arcs of these characters, right? In my eyes. Because in ending C, well, as Franklin, you choose to go against all of the, all of the antagonistic forces in the game, and you team up with Mike and Trevor, and you get shit done. You beat all the bad guys. You get rid of all the troubling forces in all of their lives, and then the end. I mean, it ends off with a nice little reference or like a nod at the beginning of Grand Theft Auto, and Trevor with the same, rambling. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, but it just felt, when I saw it, I'm like, I mean, it's good, but since when I beat it the first time and the second, whatever, when I beat it, I beat the game a couple times. I always did it in order. I got ending A, ending B, and then ending C, and then just leaving it at ending C and continuing to play the game after that ending. And ending C just doesn't teach me anything else about these characters other than, hey, they can coexist, and hey, guess what? Everything that they went through, well, it was all, at the end of the day, everything was going to be solved and everything's great. And I'm not saying that I didn't want that. Okay? I'm not saying that. I'm not. But what I'm saying is that to a certain degree, aren't these people, and generally speaking in regards to Grand Theft Auto games, aren't the heroes we play truly anti-heroes? Right? I mean, I don't know if you've played any other Grand Theft Auto game. I don't know if 5 would be the first one. But a lot of the characters, or if not all the characters in Grand Theft Auto, they don't come from clean backgrounds, and just, they always kind of get what they want. Like when I do a lot of air quotes, my bad, but they don't. They really don't. Like a lot of the stories, if not all of them, end with them getting to the end and then just like, okay, everything worked out. Great. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not. But Rockstar had an opportunity with this game, and I'll explain why. I'm going to stop going in circles. So starting with ending A, okay? In ending A, Franklin chooses to kill Trevor. And he tells Michael he's going to do it, and Michael says, yep, if it's between me and him, let's just get rid of him. Perfect. And to me, that's important to point out. To me, it's important to talk about because you are literally seeing one of the characters, Michael, the main protagonist, in essence, choose, no, let's get rid of Trevor, definitely. So throughout the whole game, Trevor kind of hated him, and he forgave him, and he kind of moved on. He never forgave him, so to speak, but he moved on. He moved on from the betrayal. But at the end, you learn that does it matter what they went through, all those missions that you played as, everything that happened? At the end of the day, Michael didn't learn anything. See, so he went along with, let's get rid of him. Betrayal again. We're back where we started. And it teaches you a lot about the character because it literally does. It like in ending C, you learn nothing about Michael except that he betrayed Trevor in the beginning and then he got what he wanted and everything's great. Sure, you could say in contrast that, oh, but you learned that he turns out he didn't want to betray Trevor in the beginning, in the first place, and he was okay with him, and by not betraying him then in ending C, then he accepted Trevor and he moved on. I don't want to live in a world where, how can I put it, where just because there's a lack of something in the character, then that's characterization, right? Because yes, technically speaking, if you never betray Trevor as Michael would have never betrayed Trevor because that's canon in your own head. But by seeing in one of the endings that Mike is willing to betray Trevor, okay, then you are seeing and you're learning that since the beginning, he had that in him and the game is pointing it out. By the game not pointing out that he didn't betray him doesn't mean he wouldn't have betrayed him. Right? You kind of follow me? Does it make sense? I'm sorry if I'm kind of spinning here, but I'm trying to get the point across. Just that lack of characterization should not be, in turn, characterization, or at least more characterization than a characterization shown to you in a part of a game, right? That was a mess. Too much of the word characterization. My bad. But I feel like I've made it clear. Okay? So, you meet up with Trevor. He finds out, of course, you know what you have to, he knows what you're there to do, and he just drives off. He calls you a Judas. He calls both of you you deserve each other, yada, yada, blah, yada. You've played the game. You've seen the endings. So you just drive behind him. That's kind of one of the things I said. You know, it's not really a mission. You just drive behind him. But amidst all of that, you driving and all, he is talking shit. He's lashing out at you, but he's not really attacking. Okay, let's again. The game has shown us that Trevor is someone who's balls to the wall crazy and is willing to do whatever it takes to get away with anything. I mean, he's batshit crazy, and that's kind of what he does. He'll do whatever he has to do to just survive, to move on, to continue in his insane life, but he'll do it. But when he finds out that you are going to betray him, and so is Michael, he drives off. He doesn't face you. He drives off willingly. Or, he's running away. But he's not shooting you. He's not attacking you. He's not going Trevor Berserk mode and attacking. He's running away. So with that, you learn that, Michael in this timeline, right? Timeline A, Michael was willing to betray Trevor for him to get what he wanted, and Trevor was once again not capable of betraying Michael, and in this case, even Franklin. Like, you see, he just drives off. It tells you a lot more of his character in terms of maybe not growth, because since the beginning he was like that. He wasn't a traitor, right? He was loyal. But it says a lot that he's not a boss fight where he just goes around and shooting you and it's a gunfight. He drives off. He's choosing to not fight you or Michael, right? He was saying that he's going to kill you. He was saying that he's going to, come back and just kill you all, whatever. But he wasn't doing it on the moment. And he had his chance. And he didn't do it. Trev. Okay? Okay, that's what I'm dissecting here. I know that I said that one of them's about B. Ending B would be the best ending to me. But I'm dissecting the endings just so that you're aware that these endings do teach you something about the characters a lot more than C. C is just a happy ending that you get because it's a happy ending. Sorry if you hear that, this music, if the car's passing by. So going back to the ending. When you catch up to Trevor, or at least you're close to, Michael shows up, rams the side of his car, and Trevor ends up under the tanker, the oil tanker, gasoline tanker, whatever. And you get off, and he's just spouting nonsense at you. He's just talking to you. He could have pulled out a gun, but he doesn't. Okay, it's very important. He could have just up and tried to kill you, but he doesn't. He just keeps telling you how you're all traitors, how you're all trash, how he hates you, how he can't believe it, how he hates you, how you're trash. But he's not attacking you. He's not. Okay? He's not. It's a big deal. So, whatever, he goes on his rant, and then you pull out the gun as Franklin, and you aim. Ready to take a shot. So, you're just waiting there. You don't take the shot. And this is the part where, again, surrogate character, you as Franklin, at least the first time that I did that, I've always, I always try to do Paragon on things, if you understand Mass Effect wording. So I always try to be the good guy in things. Yes, I know I chose that ending. I want to see all the endings. But I always try to do the right thing. And in terms of when Frank was just pointing the gun, I didn't pull the trigger the first time around. I did not. But I'm really glad I didn't. Because the game, once again, in the game, it makes it canon. Okay? And this is probably how I interpret it. I might be looking a lot into it, but follow me here. If you don't pull the trigger as Franklin, Michael pulls out his gun, or takes away yours, doesn't matter. Takes a gun and pulls the trigger. And Michael kills Trevor. Okay? So, I don't know. You see me like this, and it might seem like I'm gushing a little too much about a video game character pulling out a gun and killing another video game character. It's not a big deal. But to me it was. Because, you see, because that's I'm sorry, I'm rambling. It's just I'm trying to put it in words. So, even if Michael was always the main character, seeing as, to me, Franklin was always the surrogate character, that's the game telling you, showing you that, yes, you as Franklin, you are in control in that situation, but turns out you're not. You weren't. You never were. Michael, the main character of the story, I don't want to say has a will of his own because, clearly they do in missions when you have all three, they're off doing their own thing. Like, I know it sounds like I'm looking too much into it, but this is how I saw that game. And when I saw Michael pull the trigger and kill Trevor, it showed me that Michael was in control of his own thing. That outside of the player's control, Michael was willing to do things to get what he wanted. So it just felt like it was just more weight on what I talked about how Michael is literally willing to do whatever he needs to do to get away with what he wants. You see, now it might not be a big deal. I might be looking way too much into it. And hell, I really don't know if that was Rockstar's idea, if it was their what they were going for. But that sure as hell, that's what I saw and that's what I felt, and it was a big deal to me because I didn't pull the trigger. I just thought he'd die on his own, but Michael pulls the trigger and kills Trevor, reinforcing the fact that he is willing to do whatever he needs to do, period. It was a big deal to me. And then, you see the ending, and it's true. Unfortunately, it is true what Michael does say. I mean, when he mentions the whole, human soup, that's where I draw the line. That's kind of the detriment on Trevor's character. That he was just too crazy, and it was just too much. If they would have toned it down, I feel like it would have been better. Like it would have just, he would have been a much more realized character, or by realized, I meant just real, someone that I can relate to more. But it's true what he says. Like, he was just too crazy. It had to be done. But with that ending, with ending A, you learn things about all these characters, which is one of the reasons why it might not be my go-to ending, but it sure as hell isn't bad. You learn what Michael's capable of. Okay, you learn that, yep, I'll go and betray Trevor again, doesn't matter. You learn that as Franklin, if you don't pull the trigger, Michael will pull it, period. So beyond the player's input, beyond the player's control and grasp of a situation, Michael has a certain level of control that he will utilize to get what he wants. I don't really recall that well if Frank even does tell him, like, yo, he was your best friend, like, you killed him. And I don't know if Mike says, like, look, I do what I gotta do. If you get in my way, I'll kill you too. I don't really remember. I might be just hoping that that's what he said. But it was a big deal. Because that you do learn that. You do learn that Michael is capable of doing whatever it takes, even if it means killing Franklin. Doesn't matter. He'll do what he has to do to get away with whatever he wants. So you learn a lot about Michael. You learn a lot about Trevor in the fact that he doesn't shoot back. He does not attack you. He does call you out on all your BS to both Franklin and Trevor. I'm sorry, Franklin and Michael. But you learn something about him, just that, yeah, he's crazy, but didn't matter how crazy he was loyal up until the end, and it was not going to change. So ending A was really good. I did like it. And going from ending A to ending B blew my mind, and to me that's just, it should have been the canonical ending to that game, and I feel like it would have elevated it to a point, a much higher point, just for having a different ending, right? So let's get on to ending B. Ending B, where you kill Michael. Now, I wanted to leave it for last, and I wanted to explain ending A thoroughly. And yeah, I didn't talk about ending C, but again, you don't really learn anything except that, yeah, we're comrades. Yeah, we work together. Yeah, we care about each other. Happy ending. I know it feels like I'm just pointing it and saying, no, you didn't give me what I wanted. And I'm sorry if it does sound that way, but it's just, again, I feel like the other endings take advantage of fleshing out these characters a lot more than ending C. So, ending B. You choose to kill Michael. And when you go ahead and you call Trevor, you learn something. It reinforces the main aspect of Trevor once again. He tells you he's not going to help you. You two deserve each other. You're a traitor. He's a traitor. You're all the worst. And then leaves you to your devices. Again, teaching you that Trevor, as crazy as he is, will never betray his comrades, no matter what they've already done to him. So you drive off, you meet up with Michael, and yes, it was incredibly cheesy and incredibly, it was bad. It came off as too coincidental, or not coincidental. It's too preachy. Just, oh wait, before we talk, oh, what's that? Amanda? Oh, Stacy? Is that her name? Whatever. Oh, my daughter's going to college. Everything's great. My life's super perfect. Everything's great. Oh, she wants you to go eat. Go home for dinner. Oh, the best. My life, everything. I can't believe it. Michael had the job of his dreams. His family was okay. Everything was perfect for him. And then Franklin is like, well, I'm sorry I have to do this, but I'm going to do this. So Michael drives off. Yes, it comes off as too much. It was unnecessary. They wanted to shove it down your throat too much, that, oh, look, I have everything worked out. But Michael does say it in his own speech that I would have never guessed that someone like me, that after everything I've gone through and after everything I've done, I came out on top. Like, holy shit, I'm really lucky. I'll be damned. But everything worked out. And that's good. But a person like Michael, after everything he's done, after everything, after everything that's happened, does he really deserve a happy ending? at the end of the day. So he drives off. He's talking smack at you. You're shouting at him. Whatever. You make it over there to the factory, and whatever chase scene. And in that chase scene, you learn again what the game in ending A was teaching you, or what it was reinforcing. Michael will do whatever he has to do. So Trevor didn't attack you. Trevor didn't shoot at you. I don't know if in the driving section maybe Trevor shot back at you, but I really do not recall him shooting back. But when you make it to Trevor and he's there, he doesn't pull out a gun and shoot you. He does not. And Michael, first chance he gets, pulls out a gun and he starts shooting you. Again, if Franklin is the surrogate character, for all intents and purposes, you're seeing that Michael, he's willing to do whatever he needs to do to get away with anything. So you're chasing him through the factory. He's shooting at you. He's telling you, oh, you were like a son to me, whatever, yada, yada. He's talking to you. And Frank's like, well, I'm sorry, but I just got to do this. And I'm going to make an important sidebar here. I forgot to mention it earlier. While when you choose that ending, it does remind you of, because Frank says it was always going to end like this. Like, what else was going to happen? This is how it works. And Mike says, no, it didn't. Like, we could just go kill Trevor. Let's just go kill him. Choose to kill Trevor. I'll help you do it. I'll look back at this, and I'll just ignore it, and we'll just go kill Trevor. In ending B, again, they're showing you that Michael, to save his own skin, he will betray anyone. Okay? They're reminding you. They're shoving it in your face. But it's something that he is willing to do and he is capable of doing. And the ending is telling you again. I know it sounds like a lot of repetition. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. But it's just what these videos are going to be. So I'm sorry. You know what I recommend, though? Listen in times 2 speed. That's very smart. So in the beginning of the game, that's this now is the sidebar I wanted to talk about, the parentheses. In the beginning of the game, when you, as Franklin, are with Lamar, you're telling Lamar how, what are we going to do? We do favors for someone, then we betray them. Then we do favors for the next guy, and then we betray them. I'm tired of that life. I don't want to do that. But keep that in mind. Okay? Keep it in mind as we move forward. Because yes, it's incredibly ironic that what he said in the beginning and the stereotypical, and it's not stereotype, just the factual life of a lot of Grand Theft Auto characters, if not all of them, is do favors for this guy, kill them, do favors for this guy, kill them, do favors for this guy, etc. So you're chasing after Michael, you make it to the top, whatever, you push him, and then you're able to hold on to him and either pull him up or let go. Right? So Franklin's holding on to Michael. He's like, yo, I'm sorry. And that's when it happened. When Michael's hanging on and Franklin's holding on to him, and you can choose to drop him or just pull him up, I just waited. Because again, I wanted to see the dialogue. I wanted to see what happened. And that's when Michael said something that put the pieces together and, to me, finalized that puzzle that I had in my head and opened my eyes to why that ending should have been the ending. So you remember in the beginning when I talked about the positive trait and negative trait of each character? So we finally arrive at Michael. Wow, terrible. At Franklin. I almost said Trevor. We finally arrive at Franklin's negative trait. And that's when Michael says something that you've heard in the game before from characters that may not be that important in the long term, right? Because they're side characters. But he says something that was always there and the game was always hinting at and telling you, as Franklin. Michael calls you, Franklin, a hypocrite. And that's when everything just made sense to me. Because in the beginning of the game, when you're playing as Franklin, and although he, for all intents and purposes, is the surrogate character for us, the player, he did have a past before we started seeing the world through his eyes. He had a past with Tanisha, he had a past with Lamar Davis, and with a lot of other people in the, whatever, in downtown Los Santos. And one of the first things that you learn about him is how he's a hypocrite. But the game doesn't beat you over the head with it, with the word hypocrite. You get an email from Tanisha, and when you start the game, you already have access to that email about her saying something to you, and then with reading those emails, you learn a lot about who Franklin is. With playing the introduction with Franklin, you learn a lot of his character, even if by the end of it he's kind of brushed aside because he's not really that relevant. But his upbringing and what he was doing, like his arc, so to speak, was about how he was all talk. Like, I don't want to say he was all talk. I know it's conflicting information, but hear me out. So, do you remember when you finished the first heist with Franklin, and he calls up Tanisha to tell her where, to tell her what, oh, I got a lot of money now. I got my shit together. We could be together now. He calls her from a strip club, right? So, who in their right mind would do that? Who would willingly call their partner that they're trying to say, look, I got my shit together, let's get back together, from a strip club? Who does that? Like, Franklin's character has always been sort of a hypocrite. Because he says one thing, like, it's like the same thing with Lamar Davis. Throughout the whole game, Lamar is telling you how, you say these things. You say that you want to go above us. You act like you are someone who is above everyone else from downtown. But really, here you are getting your hands dirty just like me. You're all talk. So the game reinforces that fact right there at the end of it. At the end. When Michael shouts and calls you that, it made sense to me because that's something you always knew about Franklin, but the game didn't tell you or reinforce as much as all the other character traits with all the other characters, with the other two. And then, when you choose to, if you choose to lift Michael back up, you're like, well, I'm sorry, man. Michael's like, nope. And he lets go, and he falls to his death and dies. It's terrible. I mean, at least it looks, it's like, But, in a way, that's Michael's final lesson to Franklin. Like, doesn't matter if you regret it now. Doesn't matter what you would do if you would have saved me. You made your bed. Now you lie in it. You betrayed me. Nope. I mean, it was totally weird that Michael didn't get his help. Because, I mean, his life was perfect. He could have just lived. But Michael's always been the mentor to Franklin. And yes, I may be looking into it a lot in regards to it was a lesson he was trying to teach Franklin. But hell, even if it wasn't a lesson and it was just like, you will carry this weight. You did this to me? Nope, no going back. That was a final screw you before he died. Still, it's something that impacts Franklin. And you can tell because after he falls to his death and you're walking away, the greatest thing happens. And he calls up Lamar. Lamar can't answer the phone, but he leaves a voicemail quoting Michael. And he just walks away. And then that's the ending. And yes, it's not a happy ending. But to me, it's the perfect ending. These people are not good people. These people are all anti-heroes. They're villains, they're thugs that do what they have to do to survive and to move forward in their lives, but through illegal means. Like, these are not good people. Why must they have a happy ending? Why? It's just great. When I heard Franklin say the words that Michael told him all the way in the beginning of the game, then it just feels like he's running, and his legs are just gonna give out. It was great. It went full circle. That ending reinforced every personality trait, every characteristic of these characters, and gave them to you, reminded them to you on that silver platter. All the three characters grew in that ending. All of them. It wasn't the happy one, but it damn sure as hell was the perfect one to me. And the reason I use the word perfect is because let's look at the game mechanics in order to reinforce the fact that that ending's fine. That game has three main characters, and you could switch between them, and you could do whatever side activities with them, and it's three characters. So I wasn't a fan of that mechanic in the first place. Like, when it was announced, I wasn't a fan of that. I didn't want to control three characters separately. I didn't care for it. But it turned out to be good, and by ending B giving us the opportunity to kill one off, it makes perfect sense in the context of gameplay. So if you make a story, right, with only two characters that you're able to play as, and by the end of the game, one of them dies, the core mechanic of switching characters no longer exists, right? So, yes, Rockstar has dabbled in things like this before. In Red Dead Redemption, spoiler alert, at the ending, the John Marston gets killed, and then you play as his son for the remainder of that last mission to finalize the whole arc. And that was a cool way of, having your cake and eating it too, because we are aware that a lot of games, even Grand Theft Auto games, or just in general, a hell of a lot of games tend to give you an ending, and then when you load the game, sure, it counts as a clear save data, but you load right before the final boss or the final event, and that's the game that you play right before the ending. So in a game that gives you the mechanic of switching between two characters, if you kill one of them off at the end, I'm definitely sure that as a game developer, it would be very difficult to be like, okay, we've killed off a character, and now they get to play with one of them and then forever, and then that mechanic is gone. See, the thing that they built, the all the options, all the possibilities, it would be gone if it was two characters and you kill one of them off and then you stay with the one character. But that's the beauty of having three main characters. You have three, you take one down, you still have two. You still have the switching mechanic. It's still a mechanic that stays implemented in the game perfectly. So by doing that, it doesn't affect the core gameplay aspect of that. Yes, you'll miss out on future content with the character you killed off, but if you would have focused, if Rockstar, being the you in that sentence, if Rockstar would have focused on making one of the endings killing off a character, hell, if they would have focused on killing off Michael as the main character, as the main ending, I feel like that would have been great. Because killing off Trevor, sure, makes sense because he's crazy, but there's no impact on me. Like, okay, it's a bummer that he's dead, but he was crazy. If you kill off Franklin, it'll be impactful, but it'd be weird to kill off the surrogate character. So killing Michael was kind of the perfect character to get rid of. He's the main character for all intents and purposes, but he's not the surrogate character. He's the most important one, but he's also the biggest asshole, right? So it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense to kill off Michael because if he dies, there are ripples in the game world, and you know things change. It's different. There's an impact, and they had the opportunity because they had three of them. Just kill off one of them, and you keep two. You can still switch between them. Hell, yes, and this is me just going way overboard, but hear me out. Even thinking about future story content, because yes, they focused on Grand Theft Auto Online. It's fun and all that. That's where they make their money. So of course they just keep throwing updates for that DLC and all that. It's all free. It's great. But anyway, I digress. A lot of people were complaining and have complained about how they never provided a story DLC, any story DLC. And to their defense, there's not any more story to tell. Right? Sure, the main game I've always felt like it's rather short, but they tell you a complete story. Even if to me in the ending with ending C, it's kind of I mean, yeah, it's a happy ending, but whatever. But it's true that they've said that. It's true that they would say that. Just there's no story to tell. Like it started and it had its conclusion. What else are we gonna talk about? Like what stories do we have to tell? And by killing off Michael, they had opportunity to just continue along with the story. I mean, yes, again, I'm not saying I want this. I'm not saying, oh, I wanted more DLC, I want more game, but I mean, it's not that bad to think that if they would have stuck with ending B and killed off Michael, not only do you see, could there be a huge difference with Franklin, how he plays, not how he plays, it's always just point and shooting, but how he interacts with his other characters, because he has a posse of his own, right? And so does Trevor. Michael didn't really, right? I mean, Lester and David, the FBI guy, the fat guy, whatever. That was his crew. You know, that's it. Like they're not important characters, like vitally important. Franklin has Lamar Davis and whatever the hell he had with him. With when Franklin, just spitballing here and giving an example, if Franklin would have killed Michael and then it goes back to Lamar, we could see how he grows as a character. Franklin carrying the burden of everything that happened, but carrying the experience as well. So you could have done something with him over there. And Trevor always had Trevor Phillips Enterprises over in the whatever side, desert side of Los Santos. It was, you could have continued these characters individually with their own things, with little subtle missions, but just them picking back up after the core person that brought them together and in turn split them apart, how that affected them, both of them. I think that it would have been a great opportunity to just flesh out the world more, flesh out the characters even more, seeing as the game to me is rather, it's not bad, but it's rather short, right? Hell, you could have even, Ryu being Rockstar, again, they could have even, I don't know, made a DLC where at the end of it, they fight off and one of them survives. If they wanted to be like really like balls to the wall with a concept, sure. At the end, what? You could have had Trevor and Franklin fight, and then you could have chosen a side again. And then seeing as Franklin would have been the surrogate character, I'm just spitballing ideas here. But I've always thought it'd be pretty cool if, I know it's a recurring not lesson and not theme, but like in stories, the young one always outlives the old ones, and then it's his generation. It's the youngin's generation. I think it'd be pretty cool if after Franklin kills Michael, and then if that were the case, that Franklin and Trevor butt heads and they had to fight, I'd be like, yeah, it'd be pretty cool to see Franklin kill him too, win at that, and then it's an incredible, like, there could be so much change in him from how he started to who he'd become for his choices. I mean, again, these people are not heroes. These people are crooks right? They're thugs. They do illegal things. So why not show them in that light? Show them the the bad of that lifestyle. Why let them have a happy ending? You see, I don't know. I've always wanted to like talk with Rockstar. That sounds weird, but like to see what their idea was, to see if all of these things that I'm just rambling and I feel are incoherent, maybe they thought of it before as well and they thought it didn't work out. I'd love to have the opportunity to talk to someone there and get to know what was the case, what happened, because it's not like Grand Theft Auto 5 was something that like, oh, it blew me out of the water. Oh my god, it's one of my favorite games ever. But it was really, really fun, and I really, really like it. Like, it's just a game that sometimes, every now and again, I feel like popping back in and just driving through Los Santos because I got it up here and it was memorable. It was good. So it's just me wanting to know more about a game that I wanted to know more about and that I had high hopes for. And I'm not saying it didn't, you know, it satiated my expectations. I know there's a better word for that, but I'm blank. But I think that, yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot of potential was missed, in my opinion, in considering that ending C, happy ending, was the one they went with. And I guess that's kind of been something that's always been etched in the back of my mind, and I wanted to just bring it out and talk about it. Sorry if it was just a bunch of rambling at some point. I mean, this is pretty long, but hey, that's pretty much it. And the last piece of evidence that I can bring up as to why ending B was the best ending. I mean, if you hear the ending theme for each of those endings, A, B, and C, there is a clear winner at the ending theme, and it sure as hell is B. Okay, so hey, thank you very much for the time. Thank you for listening to this guy talk about a game that came out like 5 years ago, because it's always been in the back of his mind. Subscribe if you like that. I'm gonna try and make more videos about this because I have a lot of topics to talk about in regards to video games. And I don't know, follow me on Twitter at @OneLanguy. I don't use it that much, but I want to. If I had people talking to me through there, like asking me questions or whatever, I'd use it more. But yeah, that would be it. So hey, thank you very much for your time. Subscribe, follow me on Twitter at @OneLanguy, and I'll see you in the next one.